Morning. My name is Justin Villery from the Committee of 70. We're back again. We're doing a lot of these now with our student candidate interview series. We are very excited to go back into Allegheny County with students from Ms. Temmie's AP US Government class at Baldwin High School. They are going to be interviewing Judge Alyssa Cowan, who is running for Allegheny County Court of Common Pleas. And so thank you very much to both of you for your participation. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Temmie and her students.
Hi, Judge Cowan. So we do have some questions for you. We thought maybe you might want to give us a little 1-minute blurb about yourself, and then we do have some questions for you.
Perfect. Well, hello, students. It's nice to see you today. So I'm Judge Alyssa Cowan. I'm serving as a judge in the Family Division of the Court of Common Pleas. So you may be asking, why is she running for judge if she's already a judge? I was appointed by Governor Josh Shapiro to fill out a vacancy when Judge Kim Berkeley Clark retired. And in Pennsylvania, when we have judges appointed to serve to fill out a vacancy, we then need to run at the next municipal election cycle to be elected for a full 10-year term. So Court of Common Pleas judges serve for 10-year terms at a time. And that's why I'm running to be elected for a full 10-year term. Otherwise, my time on the bench will come to a close once the year passes, once this vacancy closes. So I have my master's in social work. I have my law degree. I was a social worker before going to law school and have over 20 years of legal experience, really focused on kids and families in the courts.
Okay, great. We have some questions for you then. I'm just gonna bring students up as they have the questions. So Leon's first.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So I was just wondering, how did your experience as a social worker influence your judicial decision making?
Yes, absolutely. So I was a school social worker working in Philadelphia. I grew up in Monroeville, but lived and worked and went to school in Philly for several years. And I was going to court with my families as a social worker. And I was really seeing that judges and attorneys weren't understanding the issues in the community that were bringing families into the courthouse in the first place. And they really weren't explaining even the process of what was going on in the courthouse. It was confusing, overwhelming. And even though it was called family court, it was not really family friendly. So now as a judge on the bench in family court, I work really, really hard to make sure that everybody coming into my courtroom, whether you're an attorney, whether you're a grandparent, a parent, a child, whether you're representing yourself or you're represented by an attorney, understand everything that's happening and really working hard to, when I have to use the legal lingo, that I'm breaking that down and making sure that people truly understand what's happening in the courtroom, what their decisions can look like, and just making sure that they have a full understanding of what's going on and that they feel comfortable telling their stories to me as the judge, so that I can make the best decision that I can.
Hi, I'm Cassidy. It's nice to meet you. Why is it important to teach future social workers about the law, and what do you want them to understand before they go into the field?
Great, excellent question. So I love that question because I'm actually on adjunct faculty at the University of Pittsburgh, and I teach a lot of courses in the School of Social Work. I teach a lot of master's level courses. I teach children and families at risk, child and family advocacy, and lobbying for nonprofit organizations. And the reason why, as a sitting judge, as an attorney, I've still continued this passion of educating social workers, because so many social workers are working with families who are court involved. And it's often not only the families who are overwhelmed by the court system and the court process and the attorneys and the judges, it's also professionals such as social workers who are also overwhelmed by the process. So I'm really trying to make sure that everybody coming into the courtroom feels as comfortable as they can, and kind of break down the mystery of what happens in court and break down the mystery of the law for people who don't go to law school. So we have many witnesses in our courtrooms who, again, are like school social workers, therapists, community providers. And when I'm having those witnesses testify in my cases, I want them to feel comfortable with understanding who's in the courtroom, what kind of case this is, what kind of testimony they're providing, what kind of impact their testimony might have on the case. So yes, so that's why I think it's so important, Cassie, to make sure that I'm constantly educating like everyone who's involved in the court system, not just future attorneys and future judges.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. Nice to meet you.
Cynthia.
I saw that it states on your website that you think there's a lack of interdisciplinary training for professionals working with our systems involving families. How do you think that problem can be fixed?
Great question. So I think that problem can be fixed by ensuring that those of us who are in leadership positions, such as myself in the community and in the courthouse, that we're providing those training opportunities to the greater field of practitioners. So I work really closely, not only with future social workers, but also future doctors and nurses. And Children's Hospital has a huge role to play. Pediatricians have a huge role to play in terms of their interventions with kids and families. They are also often working on behalf of court-involved kids and families. So when we're talking about an interdisciplinary approach, it's really to make sure that all of the disciplines out there in our community who are working with kids and families know who the other players are, know who the other actors are spending time in the same spaces together, getting to understand all of our different professional roles, getting to know each other so that then when we're all working with a particular family, we know how to communicate with each other and problem solve better together and collaboratively instead of just in those separate silos of our professions.
Hello. My question was, do you think the justice system is fair to young people? If not, what should change?
Great question. So I think I don't know that adults are always fair to young people. So there's often, this sort of, I don't know what, just sort of belief out there that, oh, young people don't work as hard as the previous generations, or young people are, getting into trouble with this, that, or whatever. So I think it's really important that, so I was an attorney for kids. So I worked at Kids Voice representing kids. I was an attorney for children of all different ages. So from little babies all the way through youth as old as age 21, because under the law for dependency work, you can be court involved up until age 21 as a child under the definition of the law. So I really worked hard to make sure that youth voices were heard in their cases. And I think having that perspective of having been an attorney for kids and youth particularly, I'm very, I want to hear from kids and youth because you guys understand your lives. You understand, like, you're the best reporters on your lives. It's not always people reporting about you. So I hear directly from kids and youth all the time in my cases. I don't want to just hear what parents, teachers, and others are saying about the kids. I want to hear directly from them, getting their perspectives, and having the youth who are coming through my courtroom have some control and autonomy over their lives and control and autonomy over what's going to happen so that they feel invested in the outcomes and not just another system doing things to them.
My name is Susan, and my question was, why did you decide to become a judge rather than continue as a social worker?
Yeah, great question. So when I decided to go to law school, I didn't have any attorneys in my family. I never pictured the law for myself. I had really been a student in college and high school who was very engaged in community work, volunteer work, which was what led me to social work. But it was when, again, I was working with families and going to court with families, and I was really disappointed with how attorneys and judges were interacting with families, that I thought, wow, I think I could do this. I think I could go to law school. I think I could make an impact in this way. And so I really only applied to 2 law schools. I was fortunate to get a public interest scholarship to go to Temple, where my education was paid for. If that hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have ended up on this career path, because I did have my master's in social work already. I was pretty broke after my master's degree and after college. So it wasn't a given that I was going to go down this path, but having that scholarship opportunity really opened that up for me. And it also allowed me to take jobs completely focused on kids and families in the court after I graduated from law school, because I wasn't saddled with a whole bunch of law school debt. And so that's like the why of why I did it, to really improve the court system for kids and families. And then I was fortunate to benefit from that scholarship. And I've really enjoyed, in all the jobs that I've had, all of the jobs that I've taken after law school have been jobs where I've been able to use both my master's in social work and both my law degree. So I really consider myself to be a dual practitioner, and feel like that has really benefited the work that I've done, and really has benefited my clients over time. So I don't feel like it's an either or at this time in my life. I feel like it's a both and. And I'm absolutely loving serving from the bench, because judges are able to control the atmosphere, the tone in the courtroom. We're able to provide connections to families and to services in a way that wouldn't happen if it's a judge who didn't come from this kind of perspective and this kind of work that I've had over the years.
My name's Alicia, and my question was, what part of your job are you most passionate about?
Thank you, Alicia. So interacting with the families who are coming before me every day. So when we take the bench, it's, families are coming to us really in crisis. And I do really enjoy working with families and being able to, when they're walking in the door of the courthouse and they're feeling oftentimes their most despair, their most scared, their most uncertain situations, being able to work with the families and get them in a better place by the time our case is over. So really just being able to provide that immediate, in family court, because we have people walking in every day requesting protection from abuse orders. We have caseworkers walking in every day requesting protection orders from kids, and reports coming in from schools, from hospitals, from doctors about abused and neglected kids in the community. So we're oftentimes over here in family court, as family court judges, we're often the first responders, for the first kind of legal responders for these sort of emergency situations in the county. And I enjoy being able to provide that immediate legal response to people coming into our courthouse. So working with families is the favorite part of my job.
Judge Cowan, since we only have a few minutes left, can you talk a little bit about this campaign? And
Sure.
like we know that there's 22 candidates in it. Like, what has that been like? Why did you decide to, run again? I know you were appointed, but why did you decide to run for this position? What's the campaign like for a judge? That sort of thing.
Sure. So I decided to run for a full 10-year term because I love my job. I'd like to stay in this job for 10 years and not just conclude this job at the end of 2025. Plus, I was honored to be, chosen by the governor and honored that he chose me to serve in this role. And I want to continue serving our community in that capacity. So what it's like to campaign as a judge, it's very, very busy. So I have a full-time job. I'm a judge on the bench. I'm hearing cases all day long. And then in the evenings, I'm doing campaign work. So meeting with a lot of community groups, meeting with a lot of engaged citizens. This is a county-wide race, so it's all throughout the county. So traveling to all the different neighborhoods, all the different regions of our county. And then on the weekends, it's the same thing. And so we're doing everything we can to reach voters, because in Pennsylvania, ultimately judges are elected. So it's really trying to reach those voters. It's a lot of door knocking, phone calls, and again, going to a lot of community groups. So there's like Young Democrats of Allegheny County. So if Young Republicans of Allegheny County, there's the Democratic committees, the Republican committees. I'm cross-filed. So as a sitting judge, I'm both on the Republican ballot and the Democratic ballot. The Democratic ballot has 22 candidates for 8 openings. So people can vote for 1 to 8 choices on that ballot. The Republican ballot has 6 of us, I think, cross-filed. So you can vote for 1 to 6 because there's not a total of 8 on that one. You can vote for 1 or everybody on the ballot. And it's just, it's a lot of work. It's just important. It's just getting that messaging out and getting people to vote. It's really important to vote no matter what in every single election, because that's really how we keep our democracy alive, is by making sure that people are voting in every single election.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Judge Cowan. We are up against the end of our class period. So thank you for your time.
Thank you all for your engagement. And I hope to see many of you out there, attorneys, judges, teachers, all the things for your US AP history. So government, so future leaders. Bye, guys.
Thank you very much, Judge Cowan. Really appreciate it. Thank you, students. Thank you, Ms. Temmie. Don't forget, Election Day, next Tuesday, May 20th.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.